Hi, everybody. It's Deborah Carter here from Preparation Tech. I've got another great interview for you in honor of Black History Month this year. I'm speaking with Ginger Burton, and Ginger is just amazing, as you can see. Ginger, show us the beautiful dress that you made. It's just so pretty.
Thanks. My little dress.
Wonderful. Lovely. So Ginger is the wardrobe supervisor of iLuminate, which is a cool light technology entertainment company, but she's also a fashion designer and she's also into cosplay. So we're going to hear all about that. But let's just start off. Ginger, welcome. Let's start with you telling us who you are, what you do, and how it intersects with technology.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Ginger. Like Deborah said, I am a costume designer, fashion designer, wardrobe supervisor, unicorn, basically. I do it all. Working at iLuminate is where I got really my interest in tech and light up costumes. So that's where that has come from. But before that, I am into cosplay. I've been cosplaying for wow, like 13 years, I think I've been cosplaying. And I have been working in the fashion industry maybe like 9 or 10 years on the corporate side. So I've been making costumes on the side, working full time in the fashion industry, and then cosplaying when I have free time. And I just love anime. I love video games. I love comics. Like, I'm a huge nerd. So that's really how I started getting into cosplay and just making my own cosplays and going to conventions and things like that. So that's me, just your nerd that loves to sew and loves dressing up. So that's me.
Cool, cool. So I found out about you through Biral, who I
Yes.
interviewed for Preparation Tech. So tell us what you do at iLuminate, because you don't really relate usually clothing and fashion to technology. And at
Mm-hmm.
iLuminate, you're putting the two together. So tell us a
Yeah.
bit about what you do there.
So at iLuminate, I'm the wardrobe supervisor. I'm the one who is handling all the outfits that the dancers wear, keeping up the maintenance with them, making any sewing repairs, making any new costumes. So that's pretty much what I do. Now, that's what I do on paper. So what I do working there is, before I got there, I guess I should say, before I got there, a lot of their suits were pretty much the same. They had a unitard, and then we had, LEDs, EL. It's kind of like fiber optics in a sense where it's a tube of light going through it. Except that actually it's not as bright. So what you see with EL, you see probably more often in music videos. You see it in like clubs and things, or you might go to like a booth. Maybe they're selling T-shirts and all those kind of light up T-shirts and light up glasses, light up accessories and stuff. That's usually EL. I know I just can't say the word electroluminate. Luminate. I can't say the word. Oh my gosh, because we always call it EL. But when we started, that's really what we did. It was a unitard and having the lights on it. But when I got there, I really saw that they wanted to do a lot more work with celebrities, a lot of work with making their own productions, making things in house. And I told them, look, I can make things. I've been pattern making for over 13 years. I think maybe 12 or so at that point, but I've been pattern making for a very long time. I can build things from scratch because I've been doing that with cosplay. So let's try it. So then it became more of making custom things as opposed to like going out and buying like a vest and then sewing the lights onto it or adding the lights onto it however we could. It became like, okay, well, if this celebrity wants something, well, let me make something custom for them. Or the dancers, if you want to create a new production, let's create costumes. Like, let's sit down and discuss, like, what is this piece going to be about? How, what the music's going to be like, things like that. And then we can design costumes around this production that you're doing. So it's a lot of problem solving, even though it's like design, it's a lot of problem solving as well, and just figuring out how to make the tech fit with making the tech and the costume fit really great together. So I work really close with techs about that, and just both of us really coming up with a plan. So that's what a lot of it is.
Wow. And did you have a background in this before?
So not with really working with lights and things. Like I've kind of played with it with cosplay and stuff, but on the level that iLuminate does, like no way. I really, the only background I've had was fashion design and costume design, because I went to school for fashion design. But other than my like design background, everything else, like I just had to like learn on the fly while I was there and pick it up real quick.
And well, that's the tech ride that, a lot of people are on. Very cool. Now, you talk a lot about cosplay, and obviously it's very influenced.
Yes.
It has a huge influence on you. Tell us a bit about that, because I did not know like there was something called Black cosplay, and that there's a whole universe within cosplay focused on Black characters and Black stories and everything else. Tell us a bit about this and what you do, because I understand that you go to these conventions and you talk about, let me get this right, convention sociology and costume construction. Tell us about this.
Yes, I mean, it's funny because a lot of people don't realize that the Black community in the cosplay community is huge. Like there's so many geeks that are, or blurs as we call them, Black nerds. There's so many blurs out there that love anime, love video games, love comics, love, just all that kind of nerdy stuff. But it's almost like people are always surprised, like, oh, like you like that too. It's like, yes, there's so many of us, but I think it's because we don't get the representation that we really deserve, on blogs and websites and people that share cosplayers. So a lot of times in the Black community, there's been several of us that have basically just kind of come together and to uplift, other Black cosplayers. Because in cosplay, like, that's how I met my friends, and we started our group, Chocolate Covered Cosplay. Yes, Chocolate Covered Cosplay. And we're a group of 4 Black women, and we talk about what it's like being a Black cosplayer, what it was like growing up being a Black nerd, and just that whole experience. So we started out really just being friends in the cosplay community, and joined, saying like, hey, let's be together and, cosplay together, have fun. And then we started, really getting to know each other and talking. And we just kind of had that similar experiences growing up being a Black nerd, and saying, I didn't really find another Black nerd until I went to college or until I went to high school. Like there was never that like connection that we had. So we really bonded, and we started out going to conventions and, talking about our experience. That's really what it was. And we just, apply the regular way, just having a panel, doing this one panel, whatever. And then it was like the staffers in the room that was, watching the room or whatever, they would say, this was a really great panel. Like, you guys should come back. And I think this word spread, and literally like 6 to 8 months later, we were being asked to come to conventions and be a voice for the Black community and tell our story, because we would have so many people come up to us afterwards that tell us like, I was so afraid to cosplay because of the color of my skin, and I never thought I could, but seeing you 4 up there represented like made me want to, cosplay. And it was just like, so many times we'd be like in tears because people would come up to us afterwards and say, I didn't think I could do this. Or parents would be like, I brought my daughter to this because, they love cosplay, or I brought my son to this because they love cosplay, but they didn't think they could do it. But we love that what you ladies are doing, and blah, blah, blah. So it's been such a magical journey, because I really just went into cosplay for fun, but then it kind of evolved into giving back to the community and helping the community. I really love that cosplay has kind of evolved in a sense for me, and the 13-ish years that I've been doing it, it's just evolved into something more and more meaningful, and a way for me to give back to the community that I think just like accepted me as I am. And I just was able to come as the nerdy girl I am, and they just, you know, accepted me. So that's what I love.
So before me, I see such an enthusiastic, happy person. You have found your thing in cosplay and in design. Yeah. Take us back, Ginger. Tell us about your childhood. How did you grow up? What did you like? Who were the people that influenced you?
I grew up really loving Barbies, believe it or not. I grew up being loving video games. Like I have a brother, me and him would play video games all the time. He would always have to be first player because he's older, but we would play together, things like that. We started watching anime. Because even before I knew it was anime, like I watched Sailor Moon, which is why I'm with the buttons. Sailor Moon is like one of my favorite animes, and I didn't know it was anime when I was a kid. It was just like, here's a magical girl and they're saving the world, and I was just so in love with that. But yeah, I think, you know, I grew up, I guess, you know, pretty average. I guess I feel like average. You know, I went to private school most of my life as well. You know, but I've always loved designing, because, like I said, when I was playing with Barbies, I was making clothes for them. Like little things, like, I mean, I think like now it's kind of silly, but you know, trying to like making a sock dress, and like, oh, you know, like kind of hand stitching some things together. And then they came out with a Barbie fashion designer game, and then I got really addicted to that. And excuse me, then I started sewing. I took a sewing class, I think when I was like 11 or 12 or something, at like a local sewing store out here. And high school, I started the fashion club. And parents knew that I was going to be in fashion, just because every time, like anytime they would be like, oh, Ginger, what do you want to do? And it's always something creative, or I was always sketching out ideas and drawing characters and things like that. So they always knew. They were totally okay with it. I mean, my dad's a huge comic book nerd. Like, well, both my parents are kind of nerds, but my dad more, because he would like draw and things like that. And funny fact is, my parents loved Star Trek. And my middle name is Nichelle, and that was named after the actress on Star Trek. Yes.
So you actually then pursued your passion of fashion at college, yes. Right? You went to college.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yes. Okay, you gotta lay down though. Sorry. Can just edit that out. My big baby.
So tell us about your studies, because you studied fashion design, merchandising, and digital pattern making. And I wanted to ask, what is digital pattern making?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I did study fashion design. I have my bachelor's of science in fashion design and merchandising. And I, what do I want to say? Well, it's funny because when I got into cosplay, I was in college. So I think what helped me out the most was the fact that even while I was getting assignments at home, I was kind of practicing, but putting it into the cosplay realm. So I was getting more practice, because instead of just doing a basic bodice, now I have to figure out how to make this anti-gravity cape happen in the real world type of thing. So I think actually working on cosplay really helped me in my studies immensely through college. And when I went to the university, one of my teachers, she I don't know, I think she knew somehow that I knew a little bit more. And then she started seeing my cosplays. I don't know how she found it, but somehow she found them. And she was like, Ginger, I didn't know you do all this and blah, blah, blah. She's like, I should make your work harder because you know all this already. But digital pattern making, what we learned, there's programs on the computer. There's several different ones. But I learned PAD. There's PAD, Tukatech, Optitex, Gerber. I think those are like the main ones. But what you can do is you can make your pattern by hand, and then you can digitize it in. There's this remote tool that it you click buttons on there, and it makes it into a digital pattern on the computer. And you can use the program to adjust the pattern and actually create your pattern in this program. So instead of, it's so much easier. And once I get to the point where I can buy one of these expensive programs, I am going to. But it's so much easier because when you're hand pattern making, you have to measure all the garments with a ruler. Like you have to, or I'm sorry, all the measurements you're going to do with a ruler. So if you're like, I need 12 inches, you have to do the 12 inches, mark it, okay, recheck, da 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 da. When it's digital, you know, you can just say, I want a line that's 12 inches, line 12, it's 12. You know it's going to be 12 because it's computer. You can easily add the seam allowance. You can easily add the different sizes and things like that. There's still a lot of math involved. So especially if you're going to do different sizes and grading because they use the X and Y axis. And it's a little bit of geometry, I guess, in a sense, which is really funny because people are always like, you say you don't like math, but then you get into pattern making, it's all geometry because it's turning squares and shapes into actual thing. I'm like, but that's fun geometry. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe it's a different type of geometry, but or maybe I don't see it as geometry because geometry wasn't my favorite. I like algebra, but geometry wasn't my favorite, but apparently I supposed to like geometry. So it makes it much easier. And then you can print out the pattern, and then you can have it digitally or you can have it printed. So then it's easy. Then you just print it out and then you put it on the fabric and you cut out your shapes and sew it up. So it is a lot easier, and it's they've adjusted even these technology and these programs to kind of move along with like how fashion is, because I know with Optitex for sure, I know because a company I worked at had it, and you can put the garment on a 3D model and see how it looks before you even print it out, just based on the pattern. So you see a 3D model and you know you can enter in like even like the textile, like if I wanted this print on there, you can enter that into the computer and you can see how it looks, and they turn, you know, 360 or they can walk, so you can actually see how it is going to look before you even create it and go through the whole process. Like it's really amazing how far they've come, even just like, you know, 10 or so years ago when I was in school to like now. You know, like it's amazing.
Wow. You know, I had no idea about all this technology, but this is amazing. So kids who are thinking, I'm going to be a fashion designer and I'm going to like sew clothes, you need the tech skills, because you're saying that this technology is just opening your world in terms of design. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And even, I forgot to mention, even Adobe Illustrator has gotten, just from the time that I was in school, and I'm probably dating myself because I think it was like Adobe CS3, if y'all can even remember what that looked like, to now where it's, you know, it's cloud-based, it's CC, but it's totally changed, because now when we're, you know, creating in Illustrator, Photoshop, making mood boards or making sketches and flats and things, they've changed their tools and made it easier for fashion designers and artists and things. So if you're trying to, you know, do textile printing, so you can make your own textile, make your own print, they've made it so that it made tools so that it's easier to make those repeats, and it's easier to make curves, and it's easier to do all those things. So it's just amazing that, like, you know, we have this now. So definitely, like you said, if you want to be a designer, you have to also know these technologies, because it's going to do nothing but save you so much time, you know, and as opposed to like doing so much by hand, like doing it digitally is so much faster.
Wow. So tell me though, you've got a lot of experience, you've been in the business. What's been the hardest challenge that you've had to face as a Black woman to get where you are? And how did you overcome this challenge or these challenges, and maybe more than one?
You know, I think I would say the biggest challenge that I've had to work out or overcome, I think, is just people's perspective of me. I think when they see me, they see a certain type of person. I don't know if they think, maybe I don't know as much, or, I'm really fluffing up, my resume, or just maybe I'm lazy or things like that. I mean, speaking like in the corporate setting of when I was in corporate fashion and working at big companies and things, it was always, I always kind of was the first person to kind of get like the most work. I feel like it was always dumping more and more on me. And, me being young and in my 20s, I was like, yeah, sure, I can take it. I can do it. I'll do it. And I'll prove that I know, what I know. I'll prove that, I want to work here, blah, 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 blah. And then it just kept happening and it kept dumping. And, I would just have to say, like, look, my coworkers aren't having the same problem. Like, they have 5 tasks. Why do I have 15? And I'm the new person. I've been here 6 months. They've been here 2 years. Why do I have the most work when, I'm the new person and everyone's looking to me of like, hey, Ginger, how would you handle this situation? Well, I would do this, this, and this. Oh, okay. And then walk away and then take the credit for that was their idea, even though I was the one who gave it to them. So I think, my biggest issue is really saying no to people, really letting them know that, yes, I know what I'm talking about, because I think that's one of my pet peeves, and that's one of my, I guess, hot buttons, like issues, when people kind of perceive me as I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't have as much experience as I'm saying. But then also take my ideas and take my advice, take a moment, breathe, and then tell them, because then you won't come off as angry like they're trying to get you to be. You will just explain your situation, say, you know what, I'm not going to handle this right now. Or if it really makes you angry, take a breath, walk away, and say, you know what, I'm going to come back and talk to you about this, and walk away and then handle it. So just to also not jeopardize you and your future and all those things. Like, I know it's hard because there's sometimes you just want to tell people, how like, and you stop, like, this is 2021, can you stop? But, it's good to kind of take a breath and then just tell people what they're doing is bothering you, but keep doing you, for sure. Like, don't change for anybody. Don't change at all, because all you're going to do is just be unhappy and then try to keep up with all, who wants you to be this person. This person wants to be that. Just be yourself. It's so much more freeing. I can tell you, like, just growing up, just learning who I am, and, kind of being like, oh, well, nobody else in my school likes anime and really video games. Well, I guess maybe I'll just pretend to be into this other stuff. And it wasn't things that I liked. It doesn't help anything. It's better to just be who you are and just love who you are, because at the end of the day, like, you have to live with yourself and you have to look at yourself in the mirror. So just be who you are.
I love this. I love your advice, because it's very different than the advice that other people have had, where they're like, okay, no, I just have to control my thoughts, or, it's more calm. But you're like, hit it. Let's just deal with it. And that is a strategy that I think young Black people and people of color and women have to embrace, because it's inevitable. You have to shut the stuff down. Changing tacks here. What can parents and schools be doing to prepare kids for jobs and study paths in design, fashion, the creative industries?
I think just having more access to different types of like art and media, because I can think back, going to, I would probably say like middle school-ish is probably when you start doing like more natural kind of drawings, not just like, let's just color. So I would say middle school, high school-ish. I feel like all the art classes were always just, okay, we're going to draw shapes, we're going to draw landscapes, and we're going to draw shadow. And that's kind of, I get that's the basis of art. You kind of have to learn those things. But I think there should be different types of art medium. you should be able to learn, about fashion design. You should learn about like painting. You should learn about the different types of paint, like oil, watercolor, things like that. I didn't know there was apparently, I didn't know until fashion school that there's watercolor color pencils, and you color with color pencils and then you add water to them. And that's part of doing drawings and things. So I think having different art mediums in high school and things would definitely help once you get to college, because then you've tried a bunch of different ones. So then you know which ones you like, which ones you don't like. So then it will help you choose your major. So then if you're going to an art school, you're not, spending a bunch of money on a major maybe by the end you don't even like.
My last question though, how are you, Ginger Burton, making tech history? How do you want to be remembered by the Black community and by society at large for your talents?
What I hope people remember me for is just always trying new things, always remaining to be myself, being, quirky and hopefully cute, quirky and cute, and just being myself and knowing you don't have to fit into a certain box. You can, be whoever you want to be. If you want to cosplay, if you want to, create art, if you, just want to, design things and come up with plans and schematics and just those types of things, and or project manage, like you can do all of these things. And there's a lot of things in your life that you've probably even done some of these skills with. And it's just about, making them happen and just, not feeling afraid. Like I want people to know that, yes, I've, made mistakes, and yes, I've, maybe made some bad decisions and things like that. But at the same time, it's a learning experience. And, I've evolved, and I've just become the person that I love being. And it's okay. Like, it's okay that, I love dressing up in cosplay and making things that are pink. I mean, that's just who I am, So I just want people to just remember who I am, and that I guess I can give them that push that it's okay to be who you are and just follow your dreams, and you can make them come true, and you never know where your dreams are going to lead you.
Ginger, this has been so inspiring, because you've opened up a whole world, cosplay, fashion, tech, that I really didn't know anything about. So thank you very much. And I look forward to following your work with iLuminate and also your cosplay stuff. So thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.